Triassic Weirdos. Welcome back, guys, to my channel, Ranking with Dinosaurs, where we will not be ranking dinosaurs today. This happens like 3 times already. But yeah, so, Triassic, look. Earth has been through some weird stages, you know. Where it gets a little weird, a little freaky. But you know, Triassic is one of those that takes the cake for one of the weirdest periods in general. Like, some of these guys are like concert art level of insanity. Like, these guys were staying in a drawing board. Some of them. But today we're going to rank them, and we're going to see, you know, how they rank against each other. And we're going to rank, yeah, in my opinion, but how weird they are. Mostly, for me, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. So, yeah, Triassic Weirdos. ATOPODENTATUS. So, ATOPODENTATUS is a marine reptile from the Triassic, you know. Triassic, we started seeing more reptiles get into the fray. They were not the dominant species before. And I gotta put you into context, the Triassic came right after the massive extinction that was at the end of the Permian. So, you know, Earth was getting a little freaky, you know. They were like, you know, there's no animals left, so let's just, you know, just throw whatever we have on the back. So, ATOPODENTATUS is a hammerhead, shovel-like marine reptile, yes. So, the funny thing with ATOPODENTATUS is the fact that the actual fossil was so messed up, was so fucked up, that we thought it had like it was like a 3-part mouth, you know, it was just like an alien looking thing. But no, it was just a disfigured, poor guy, looking fella. Poor him, we were like reconstructing him like an actual alien, but no, he just had a weirdly shaped mouth. So, ATOPODENTATUS is actually, I think, the first, I don't want to say like a fact, but ATOPODENTATUS is, I believe, the first herbivorous marine reptile. So that guy was out there with a shovel-like mouth eating algae around. And by the teeth, it kind of looked like it was a filter feeder, but no, it was no filter feeder. Just eating algae on the floor, on the bed floor, on the floor, on the sea floor. So, ATOPODENTATUS is actually going to be, for weirdness, I don't know. I'm going to say B. I think there are weirder things than this. HYPERODAPEDON. I don't know. So, HYPERODAPEDON is a rhynchosaur. So, these guys are mostly known to have insanely broad skulls. So, from the top, it'll look like you just stepped on it. And it just... So, HYPERODAPEDON has, aside from a huge-ass broad skull, and if you see it from the front, I don't know, it must be some nightmare feel. Good thing these guys were, like, very small as well. And it had some very hooked, like, very sharp hooked beaks as well. So, they were probably eating some vegetation under the, like, underground vegetation, you know? Like roots and stuff. Because by how small they are and the fact that they have hooked beaks, and they have like a sprawling kind of position, posture, I want to say that they were burrowing. You can correct me on that, but they look like burrowers. They kind of look like Dinosaurs, if you know what Dinosaurs are, from the Permian, also from Triassic, but much earlier. They look like burrowers to me, but I don't know. But yeah, these guys are. Now this is weird. Like, little small broad ass heads with a weird ass beak. I'm gonna go A tier for HYPERODAPEDON. Actually, that name is actually very funny. TANYSTROPHEUS. So, TANYSTROPHEUS is actually one of the most well-known Triassic weirdos out there. Like, between the weirdos, he's like kind of famous. But no, yeah, TANYSTROPHEUS is a reptile from Triassic with a very long neck. Now you might be thinking, yeah, well, lots of things have long necks. Well, this guy has an unusually long neck for his body because his neck is longer than his body and its tail together. So, what was this guy doing with so much neck? Well, actually, Tanystrophus predates Plesiosaurus and Elasmosaurus, which have long necks as well. And what did these guys do with their long necks? Well, they probably were ambush predators in the water. That's what I think I didn't mention. Tanystrophus is probably a semi-aquatic animal. There were some studies, and yeah, they could be on land as well, but they were mostly more aquatic than anything. So, how do these long necks work with ambushing fish, specifically fish? Is that, I mean, fish are really hard to catch. If you try to catch a fish, yes, they're really hard to. They're really fast in the water, so if you want to sneak up on them, it's going to be hard. So the long neck basically means is that your face is going to be close to the fish before the fish notice that you're there. Why? Because your body is all the way over there, while your head is all the way over here. And their hind limbs were more specialized for the propulsion part. So they were probably paddling with their back feet and then trying to get closer to the fish as quietly as possible. So Tanystrophus, famously for losing a tail in a certain documentary by Nigel Marven, I'm gonna say C tier. I don't hate Tanystrophus, but there are some weird things coming. DESMATOSUCHUS. So, what happens when you mix a crocodile with a armadillo, with a pig, with a kentrosaur, and an ankylosaur? Well, you get DESMATOSUCHUS. So, DESMATOSUCHUS is an aetosaur from the Triassic. From a bunch of places, actually. We found it in a couple places. So, DESMATOSUCHUS, as I was saying, is that you could classify it as a weird amalgamation of animals that we know today and the past. So, the most prominent feature, obviously, is, well, a bunch of them, but if you're going to get technical, the huge-ass shoulder spike that is so reminiscent of some stegosaurs, actually. Like, pointed upwards from their shoulders to the back. I don't know why this is I don't know where this is like a good evolutionary step for animals to take. I don't know. But yeah, so you have the two rows of not plates, of armor on the back. Kind of like a crocodile, like scutes running down the back. Two rows. Also like crocodiles. This is actually a crocodile. Well, I mean, it's a reptile, so you could get it. And the skull is very weird. So you have on the upper jaw, in the front, you don't have any teeth. So you're like, well, what is it doing with its face? I mean, it's a big animal as well. So you have it's a shovel-like nose, but when I see it, I just think of like a weird pig. Am I the only one that sees that? It's a weird pig, where it was probably shoveling dirt or something to get to some tasty roots. And yeah, you have this semi-sprawling kind of posture for the animal. It's so weird. It's also one of those Triassic weirdos that you've probably seen or known from before. But it is so, like, the more you look into it, the more you're like, what went wrong here? Like, and it's an herbivore too, so. But yeah, DESMATOSUCHUS, insane creature. Also, these guys apparently were getting ratioed by Postosuchus, another weirdo that I don't have here in this video. I'm saving it for another one, but yes, this is a weird one. DESMATOSUCHUS, gonna be an A tier. I'm debating an S tier, but I don't know yet. TERATERPETON. So, this one that I didn't have a lot of recollection on. So, TERATERPETON is a weirder reptile. These are all reptiles also, what the heck. But no, yeah. TERATERPETON, weird ass looking little guy. I don't know too much about it, but from what I read, it had almost toothless beak. I mean, they had little tiny teeth at the back of their jaws, but they were mostly like toothless. Where I'm like, what are these guys doing? Come on, probably eating insects or something, or burrowing as well. That's what small animals from the past we think they do. But yeah, TERATERPETON. Not much to say. It's weird. It also had some weird ass lacrimal crests. So if you know, like theropods with their weird, sometimes they're bony. Well, not bony. The little crests, like their lacrimal bones, being a little protruding. This guy also had those. So TERATERPETON, you're weird, but you're not the weirdest. I want to say C tier for it. Yeah, C tier for TERATERPETON. DREPANOSAURUS. So DREPANOSAURUS is one of those weird reptiles that you learn about while you're looking at the Triassic, and you could see why. So we got not only, well, from the actual fossils, we don't have the skull, but from its relatives, we can assume it was a relatively small skull, like head, compared to its body. Kind of bird-like, actually, with a little beak, which is, we're already starting like a little strange. So, and you have the neural spines, which they're not insanely high, but for an animal this size, they're kind of protruding up. And this neural spine that's right here on top, the caudal one, it's insane. I don't know why it has a hump on the back of its head. Like, what does that work for? What I assume is, as other animals have like insane, when their necks have insane neural spines, it's for muscle attachments. So I guess they were using a lot of their frontal limbs, or front limbs, for climbing. So this is a climbing animal. So we're already going kind of weird. So bird face, tall neural spines. You have a insanely large claw in your index finger. Why? Probably, you're on the trees, lifting up bark, eating some delicious grub, and then you go to the lower part of the body, and you have an elongated body. Okay, it's kind of weird, not too weird for an arboreal. But then you have the prehensile tail, which for reptiles, you're like, is it weird? Chameleons have prehensile tails. Not that many more, I want to say. I mean, snakes are all neck or all tail, but they're prehensile. And this guy, yeah, has a prehensile tail, a thick prehensile tail, that ends in a curved spike. Yes. When I'm saying a curved spike, I'm saying like a claw, but it's not a claw because it's not on their hands. Like a spike at the end of their tails. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, why do you need another claw at the end of your tail? What is that? Are you fighting with your tails? I don't know. Some weird ritualistic thing. I guess they were like dangling from the tails, and the claw acted like like extra support. But then why do you have a prehensile tail in the first? I don't know. This DREPANOSAURUS is weird. Which is why it's going to be an S tier. DREPANOSAURUS is insane, actually. SHRINGASAURUS. So, getting to one of my favorite ones, SHRINGASAURUS, an Alekotosaur from Triassic India. So, SHRINGASAURUS, we know it from a single bone bed in India. So, they died all together. SHRINGASAURUS is an herbivorous animal, and they actually have a SHRINGASAURUS. A dead one. Figure SHRINGASAURUS. Now, tell me what is weird with SHRINGASAURUS. Everything. So, you have first of all, boxy skull, very short snout, and some horns on top of their eyes. So, yes, these guys, well, the late Ceratopsian dinosaurs convergently evolved to have these types of horns on top of their eyes. So they have this, semi-sprawling, longish neck, actually compared, often compared to, say, sauropodomorphs, with their longish necks and their leaf-shaped teeth, which means they were herbivorous. And yeah, the horns already stick out like a sore thumb. Like, what are you doing with those horns? So, as most horn-like dinosaurs from after, way after, and they probably didn't use them to actually self-defense from predators. These guys were already huge, so they were probably using it for as all animals, get the ladies, a sexual dimorphism. And the bone bed that we found actually has a ton of individuals. Well, not a ton, like 8 almost individuals from all ages. So they were forming groups of several age groups, and some of them with the same age had horns, and some didn't have horns. So this leads to believe that probably females didn't have horns and males did have horns, which supports the sexual dimorphism or the display aspect of these guys. So Shringasaurus is one of my favorites. I'm gonna say S tier Erythrosuchus. So Erythrosuchus, well, I mean, we finally have like a land predator. I mean, DREPANOSAURUS was an insectivore, but we have our first apex predator, and it's Erythrosuchus, one of the largest animal that was alive at the time, because this thing has what I call a theropod head. Like, if you've seen theropods, theropods, Tyrannosaurus or Carnotaurus, Velociraptors. But when I say theropod, I mean mega theropod heads, like huge heads. These things were like crushing everything. They had short necks, and the thing is, their bodies, like, this does not match. Like, nature was like, let's make this big ass head with some insane teeth, robust, like tall. Like, these were tall skulls, like this tall. And they were like, yeah, for the body, put it on 4 legs. Do we make it like, comparable to the size of a head? Nah, just the smallest body you have, just attach it to it. Like, how are these things able to carry their huge heads without just taping over, like falling in front of them? I don't know. Erythrosuchus is crazy to think about this thing running around. Like, they were probably murking everything in its path, honestly. Nothing was safe from this guy. But yeah, Erythrosuchus, it's actually kind of fragmentary, but we do have some fossils from other Erythrosuchids to, paint a good picture of it. And it was insane. So, Erythrosuchus is, I'm tempted to put it in S tier, but I'm going to say A tier. COELOPHYSIS. So, at last we have come to another Triassic predator, probably one of the most famous Triassic theropod predators ever, COELOPHYSIS. So, COELOPHYSIS is a dinosaur, the first dinosaur, and not the first dinosaur that we discovered or that it evolved, just the first dinosaur on the list. And you've probably seen it in Walking with Dinosaurs. It does have, in terms of theropod builds, a fairly usual one. However, for the time, it was weird. It was a bipedal animal, which is already kind of strange in that time. And it had a really long skull, very small teeth, elongated arms, and very gracile looking. So it was probably very fast. And we have a ton of fossils. But when I say a ton, this is actually literally a ton of fossils. Like, they are so abundant that I can only imagine, like, every time you walk like 10 feet, there was a COELOPHYSIS just running around. So COELOPHYSIS, I'm torn in this one because I know compared to dinosaurs later, they're gonna be not very remarkable. But in the context of the Triassic, it is a weird ass looking dude. So I think I'm gonna get in the middle of that. Gonna put it right in B tier. I think that's fair in the context of the Triassic. That's gonna be the Triassic Weirdos tier list. There's obviously a lot more Triassic looking weird guys, but this video is already long, so I'm gonna make it way longer. Let me know in the comments how would you rate each one of these ones. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, like and subscribe. We're almost we already passed 100 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. And I appreciate also the comments, the civil discussion that there is in there, and already calling me out. Do that. That's what the comments are for. So thank you guys so much for watching.